Aloha! I'm Mitch Roth, and 4 years ago you elected me as your county prosecutor. In the last 4 years, we've had a lot of great successes. For instance, juvenile crime is down by over 50% on our islands. How did we do that? Well, you have to understand a little bit about juvenile crime. One of our options is to send kids to the Hawaii Youth Correctional Facility, the kids' jail in Honolulu. We know that it costs about $200,000 per child per year to go to HYCF. And our success rate, well, the recidivism rate, or the rate in which people go out and recommit crimes, is about 75%. That means our success rate is about 25%. Last time I checked in school, 25 equal to an F on a grade. One of the things that we did is we started the Big Island Juvenile Intake and Assessment Center, or otherwise known as BIJAC. BIJAC success rate is about 94%, with a recidivism rate, or a rate in which kids go back and recommit crimes, at about 6%, and the cost, about $960 per kid. Big difference, and a big impact. We're doing other things with juveniles as well. We're being more proactive than reactive. One of the things we're working on is Camp Agape. The prosecutor's office has helped support both financially and by advocating for Camp Agape. Camp Agape is a camp put on by various churches that works with kids whose parents are incarcerated. We know that these kids stand a higher chance of entering into the juvenile justice system. We take them on a camp for 4 days. They let them do camp activities, but we also instill moral character lessons, and the results are amazing. 4 years ago, when I was elected, I promised we were going to look at some of those cold case murders with a fresh set of eyes. We've indicted several of those cases and even got convictions. One of those cases I took myself, State versus Alexander Gamsky. Mr. Gamsky buried his wife in his backyard. Today, he sits in prison for the next 20 years. I'm proud of the work that we're doing on these cold cases, and we're going to continue to work on these cold cases because family members of these victims, they deserve closure. They're important to us, they're important to the family, and it should be important to everyone in the community. One of my promises when I came in 4 years ago was to look at traffic safety and see what kind of changes we can make. Over the last 4 years, our fatalities on our roadways on Hawaii Island have come down over 30%. How did we do it? Well, part of it was enforcement. We decided we were going to take a no-nonsense approach to enforcing these kinds of cases. Education. We educated both the community and the police and prosecutors. We've also gone into engineering. Those are the 3 keys of problem solving: education, engineering, and enforcement. And we created some laws. One of the laws that I personally was involved with was something called Aliyah's Law. Aliyah's Law allows the police to tow a drunk driver's vehicle to a private tow lot. It allows the police to tow someone's vehicle who doesn't have a license or has their license suspended or revoked. The first couple of years we saw that go into effect, our numbers came down drastically. In fact, over half, at a low of 13 fatalities in 1 year. Well, that's a good number. It's not a great number, because even one fatality is too many. For many years, I used to teach problem solving to police agencies and communities alike. I did that around the country. And what I learned is when you're looking at a problem, you have to sometimes go back to the roots of the problem. One of the biggest problems that we have that is a root to most other problems is domestic violence. Think about this. Kids who come from homes of domestic violence are 6 times more likely to commit suicide than kids not coming from homes of domestic violence. Right now on Hawaii Island, we have a serious suicide problem. A lot of that is related to domestic violence. Kids who come from homes of domestic violence are 24 times more likely to be involved with sex assault, either as victims or offenders, than kids that don't come from homes of domestic violence. kids that come from homes of domestic violence are 60 times more likely to be involved with drugs and other crimes than kids not coming from homes of domestic violence. A lot of people are thinking it's the drugs. Well, it goes sometimes deeper than that. And finally, kids coming from homes of domestic violence are 100 times more likely to be involved with domestic violence, either as victims or offenders, than kids not coming from homes of domestic violence. Now, that's not to say that every kid coming from a home of domestic violence is going to be involved with that statistic, or any of those statistics for a matter of fact. All of those statistics, kids coming from homes of domestic violence are about 3 times likely to be involved with those. Only 3% of those kids are likely to be involved with those kinds of crimes. But that is a huge root cause to many of our other problems. For many years, domestic violence was looked at as a woman's issue. It's not a woman's issue, it's a community issue. It's all of our issues. And so the way we combat it is, 1, yes, we prosecute these cases. 2, we educate our community. And 3, we engineer new laws to make it more effective to prosecute and to handle these kinds of cases. Domestic violence is everybody's problem. And if nothing else, we want you to understand so you can share that with your friends and family. Over the last 4 years, the Office of the Prosecuting Attorney has brought in millions of dollars in grant funds. Some of those funds have gone to projects like our sex assault project. We know that we had a serious issue with sex assault on our islands, and we wanted to figure out how we can not only prosecute, but be proactive and making sure these crimes don't happen. One of the things we did is we started a Start by Believing campaign. You know, every time we go into court with one of these sex assault cases, we have an unnamed, unknown conspirator that we're always battling against, and that is public perception. In fact, you know, in Italy, there was a judge that found just because a woman was wearing jeans that she deserved to be raped. That's crazy. A woman doesn't deserve to be raped because she's wearing certain clothes or she goes to a certain area. So, with our Start by Believing campaign, we start by believing our victim, and then we go from there. We've done training with police, we've done training with prosecutors, and we're doing training with the community. Because no woman, or man, or child deserves to be sexually assaulted. Drugs, and in particular methamphetamine, is a huge issue on Hawaii Island. And recently, we received several $100,000 to work on drug programs. Because being a prosecutor, you can't just think you need to just put people in prison. If your only tool is a hammer, all your problems are nails. And we know that a lot of these people with drug problems, if we put them in jail or if they go on probation, they're going to be coming out and they'll be reoffending unless we think a little bit proactively rather than reactively. We've also received funds for victim services. In fact, we've increased the number of victim counselors in our office by over half in the last 4 years. And recently we started a restorative justice program, restoring the victim, the community, and the offender. Working on these things is being smarter on crime, not just tougher. Our kapunas, or our seniors, are very important to us. In the last 4 years, we've been working on not only trying to prosecute these cases, but also trying to make sure that our kapunas are not victims of crime, not falling for the scams that people target seniors for. We've been educating them on other things. We've created a resource manual to show seniors where they can go to get help, not just for crimes, but how they can stay in their houses so they don't have to worry about going into a housing facility. You know, one of the things I'm most proud of is bringing Faith into the county. Faith is Hawaii County's courthouse dog, and she is amazing. What Faith does is she gives victims a voice. Imagine, if you will, a World War II vet. You see him on TV, he starts telling his story, and pretty soon his eyes start tearing up, and soon he can't talk. That's trauma. We expect it from our World War II vets. Why shouldn't we expect it from children who have been sexually molested or victims of other crimes. What Faith does is she just nuzzles right up. She doesn't say what the victim should say, puts her head on the lap, takes that attention, takes that stress, takes that trauma from the victim, and allows the victim to have a voice. We've seen kids who couldn't say anything become chatterboxes. Faith is amazing in many ways. Many of you know that there was an issue with P cards in the county last year. And when that issue came up, every department was audited. And the Office of the Prosecuting Attorney was audited, and we were found to have exemplary accounting procedures. Now, I gotta tell you, I feel blessed to have the people working in the office that I do. Not only is the accounting division exemplary, but in the last 4 years, we had both the Employee of the Year for the county and the Manager of the Year. And those are only a couple of people that are amazing people that we work together with at the prosecutor's office, people that strive for justice in everything they do. I want to thank you for taking your time to watch this video and encourage you to please vote on August 13th.